As the Minnesota Vikings potentially could do some freshening, some spring cleaning, as it were, at the head coaching position, the Vikings need to go with a coach with an offensive background. So why is that? Because they need their head coach, who's going to be here for a while, to mind meld with their future franchise quarterback. Because if you have a defensive-minded head coach, the big disadvantage is, well, your OC, if he performs well, probably going to leave for a head coaching job. So it's quite unfortunate there. So here are the top 5 offensive coaching replacements for Mike Zimmer. Right, meow. Right. So, of course, our number one choice is Eric Bieniemy, offense coordinator of the Chiefs. So we did a full video on him earlier in the week. So it should either pop up with the link if production value is there, or it's the link will be in the description. So he's our number one choice by far. But here are 5 other guys. So number 1, Lincoln Riley. Coming out of the University of Oklahoma, 37 years young. He was a former college backup. He was a quarterback at Texas Tech under Mike Leach, and he's been at Oklahoma ever since as a head coach since 2017, taking over for XFL legend Bob Stoops. Cool. Has a 38-8 career record in Norman. He's gone 12-2 for 3 straight years, and then he loses in the college football playoff, which, 3 Big 12 championships. And he is known as the quarterback whisperer. So he's got Baker Mayfield, Heisman Trophy winner, number 1 overall pick. Kyler Murray, Heisman Trophy winner, number 1 overall pick. Jalen Hurts, second in the Heisman. Oh, it hurts. And then a second-round pick. So he's done well in the quarterback department. See if Spencer Rattler or whoever the hell is quarterback in Norman as of right now can get into the Derby. But also this year in 2020, he's 2-2. And Oklahoma fans, just like any college program that's had a sustained level of success, they get a little bit spoiled. So maybe it's like, boo, we're unappreciative of you, Lincoln Riley. Boo. And also, it's not like he has major ties to the school. It's not his alma mater. It's not this, not that. So maybe he does want a shot at an NFL job. And also, he sees the Wilfs as great NFL owners. Stability is important. So maybe he'll go that route as opposed to going to Dallas after the fire Mike McCarthy. And also, hell, maybe he can fix Drew Samia, Oklahoma. Get it back together. Let's go. Next up, offensive head coach number 2 to replace Mike Zimmer. Greg Roman, Ravens offensive coordinator. Roman, 48 years old. He's from the Harbaugh coaching tree, both of them. All right, so he was Jim Harbaugh's tight ends, tackles coach at Stanford, and then he followed Jim to the NFL, where he was OC of the Niners for 4 years. Famously helped craft that Colin Kaepernick offense, Super Bowl participants. It was great. Which also is a precursor for what the Lamar Jackson offense will become. A lot of read options and now incorporating a lot of RPOs as well. And was the Bills offensive coordinator for 2 years under Rex Ryan. Less than ideal, before hopping back to the Ravens under John Harbaugh, and he helped lead the number 1 offense in the NFL in 2019, gunslinging MVP Lamar Jackson. Not bad for a wide receiver. I love it. Also, he's helped the Ravens have the number 1 rushing attack in the NFL, so that would be big for Dalvin Cook. And now if the Vikings do end up with, say, an athletic quarterback like a Trey Lance or a Justin Fields or a Zach Wilson or a De'Ara King, all of a sudden that is important, and that's something that Greg Roman could bring to the table, utilizing the quarterback's athleticism, not necessarily being a run-first quarterback, as also you see that the Ravens have reined it in quite a bit because they're worried about the longevity of Lamar Jackson. But if defenses have to worry about your quarterback's athleticism, it can open up everything else, and Greg Roman is phenomenal at that. Next up, offensive head coach number 3 to replace Mike Zimmer, Byron Leftwich. He's the Buccaneers offensive coordinator, 40 years old now. I love Byron Leftwich, man. Him coming out of Marshall, the game against Akron where he broke his ankle, but his offensive or tibia. It was something to his leg, so he couldn't move. Well, he can't move anyway because he's Byron Leftwich. Anyways, but his offensive lineman carried him down the field because he literally could not walk, but he could sit in shotgun and drop dimes. It was great to see. Number 7 overall pick in 2003 by the Jaguars, and he has the longest throwing motion in NFL history. It was like a trebuchet. Right, but it's whatever. He started 50 games, threw for 10,000 plus yards, 58 touchdowns. Was mainly a backup. Did win a ring as Big Ben's backup, which is cool. It's whatever. Got into coaching in 2017. as the quarterback's coach and eventually interim offensive coordinator. And also, he was part of that Steve Wilkes, Mike McCoy 1 year debacle, so it was less than ideal. Followed Bruce Arians to Tampa when BA came out of his 17th retirement. Now, he is certainly in that young, bright offensive mind mold. I think Leftwich is a great leader. I think that he can relate to players because he was very recently a player himself. Also, I think that he's got a great pedigree under offensive geniuses like Bruce Arians that he's learned under. Next up, offensive head coach number 4 to replace Mike Zimmer, Josh McDaniels, Patriots OC. So 44 years old. McDaniels is complicated because he's the only one on this list who has NFL head coaching experience. But also on one hand, I think that he's a smug know-it-all who's failed in Denver and failed whenever he's not around Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. But also, I think that the dude could be a legit great offensive head coach. And also, he's the one who left the Colts at the altar before they eventually settled on Frank Reich. But that's working out pretty well. But it's almost like he was born in a lab to be a robot football coach. So he's the son of Tom McDaniels, who's an Ohio football coaching legend. He even coached at Massillon, which is one of the great storied high school programs. He was a grad assistant under Nick Saban for a year at Michigan State, and then he's been with Belichick since 2001, minus 2 years as the Broncos head coach. Tebow time. As well as 1 year with the 2-14 Rams in 2011 under Steve Spagnuolo. Like, he didn't really get Sam Bradford going. But he's been a part of all 6 Super Bowls with the Patriots and with Tom Brady. He's had a top 8 scoring offense 11 out of 11 years, which is pretty okay, including number 1 twice. And it's been a work in progress this year with Cam, recycling a lot of the Tebow offense, trying to work Cam into that. Now, they've had some high highs, but it's been a little bit of rough sledding, mainly because of COVID and whatnot and rescheduling, but they'll be fine. Now, I think that McDaniels is the one who would bring the Belichick system of high standards, the whole do your job mantra. Like, he and Brian Flores, I think, are cut from very similar cloth in terms of the coaching demeanor. Well, I like Flores way more than McDaniels, but get what you can get. But you weren't going to get that under Charlie Weiss and Eric Mangini and Romeo Crennel and Bill O'Brien. Like, you just didn't get that. There's a reason why it's almost become a trope that Belichick assistants have failed. But hopefully Flores is turning things around. Nick Saban, technically, I guess, has had quite a bit of success in college, just a little bit. And then maybe McDaniels learned from his mistakes in Denver when he was basically just a tin pod dictator before he had actually earned the right to be said tin pod dictator, and then would get it right in his second job. And also, no, head coaches don't need to be liked. Like, they don't need to be gregarious. They don't need to be a fan favorite. They just need to get the job done. Again, look at Saban and Belichick, the guys that he learned under. But they do need to be respected. But has he earned that respect as of yet? TBD. Lastly, and number 5, offensive head coach to replace Mike Zimmer, Brian Daboll. So he's the Bills offensive coordinator. Now, I like Daboll because he looks like biker Santa Claus. He's great. 45 years old, from the Belichick and Nick Saban coaching tree yet again. Although he certainly did not get along with Belichick towards the end, but is what it is. Started out at Bill and Mary, grad assistant for 2 years under Saban at Michigan State in East Lansing. Was assistant under Belichick in New England from 2000 to 2006. Then followed Manginius. God, Mangini was bad. To the Jets for 2 years. He was a quarterback's coach. He coached 2008 Brett Favre, who got the Jets out to an 8-3 season, and then his bicep blew up. But I spent the next 2 years as offense coordinator of the Browns, again with Mangini. Then 1 season with the Dolphins, 2011, under the late great Tony Sparano, and then 2012 with the Chiefs under Romeo Crennel. Absolute mess of a season. That was the year right before they hired Andy Reid. Then ended up back in New England. And then 2017, he was Alabama's quarterback coach and co-offensive coordinator. Won a national title with Tua, as well as Jalen Hurts over Georgia. No big deal. Then he's since 2018 under Sean McDermott, he's been the Bills' offensive coordinator and has helped develop Josh Allen. Where when Josh Allen came in, arm strength for days, accuracy not so much. He's probably the most polarizing draft prospect that I can remember in decades. But the Bills, as of right now, even though they struggled the last 2 games and bad Josh Allen is back, the Bills are still 6th in the NFL in passing, 2nd in touchdowns. And we've seen what Josh Allen can be at his peak, at his heights. And Daboll does deserve a good bit of credit for that. So I think that he is a young offensive mind. He's failed at stops before as a play calling offensive coordinator, but you can learn from all those things. And of course, he's got a great great, coaching pedigree from great coaching trees as well. Plot twist. Maybe if Daboll gets the Vikings head coaching job, he brings the Bills defensive coordinator with him. By God, that's Leslie Frazier's music. My goodness. But again, the Vikings do need to go offensive with the next head coach because they are going to be drafting the future franchise quarterback. That relationship is the most important relationship in all of sports. So the Vikings have gone defensive for the past 2 head coaches with Leslie Frazier. Ain't working out with Christian Ponder, as well as Mike Zimmer. Ain't working out with the myriad of quarterbacks that he had. Well, it would have worked out with Teddy, except his knee exploded. So go offensive. On the offensive, again, Eric Bieniemy, and then these 5 slappies. Just get after it. But your thoughts, potential offensive head coaches to replace Mike Zimmer, let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support that work, pull some of the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.